Hey everyone, today we're going to tackle a term you hear absolutely everywhere, data science. It's totally changing the game for businesses and honestly, our daily lives. But what is it really? Let's dive in and find out.
You know that feeling like you're just drowning in information? I mean, notifications, articles, social media feeds, it's just this constant flood. Well, you're not alone. The amount of data our world is cranking out every single second, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
Yeah, that feeling of being totally overloaded, it's real. As you can see here, we're generating just massive amounts of data in every possible format. We're talking text, audio, video, about pretty much every single aspect of human life. This, right here, is the age of big data.
But here's a thought. What if all that noise wasn't just, well, noise? What if it held secrets, right? And patterns, and maybe even the answers to some of our biggest questions? That's where data science comes in. It's the craft that helps us find those answers. It really is the story of how we find meaning in the chaos.
Okay, so first up, the age of big data. And let's be clear, this isn't just a challenge, it's a massive, massive opportunity.
So the big question is, how do we start making sense of all this noise? Well, it all begins with understanding a few key ideas. Let's clear up some terms you've probably heard thrown around a lot. All right, data science versus AI. Here's a really simple way to think about it. Data science is all about finding the pattern, and AI is about acting on it. So data science is the whole process of digging through data to pull out those crucial insights. AI then takes it a step further, using those insights to solve problems in a way that kind of mimics how a human would think. And then there's machine learning, or ML. So where does that fit in? Well, you can think of it as this incredibly powerful tool that sits right at the intersection of both data science and AI. These are basically algorithms that learn from data over time, getting smarter and smarter as they go. Now, not all AI uses ML, but it's the engine behind things you use every day, like your Netflix recommendations or the software in self-driving cars. Okay, we've got our terms down. Now let's get practical. When a data scientist gets their hands on a brand new data set, where in the world do they even begin? It all starts with a first look. So that first step, it isn't some kind of magic trick, it's all about exploration. There's a whole field called exploratory data analysis, or EDA. It was established by a brilliant statistician named John Tukey, and the whole idea is to just paint a picture of the data set. It's like being a detective, looking for clues, weird outliers, and any initial patterns just to get a feel for what you're working with.
And this right here, this is the power of EDA in action. Seriously, this chart, called a box plot, comes from a data set on breast cancer survival. Now, just by visualizing one single thing, the number of positive lymph nodes, a really shocking pattern just jumps out. Look at group 1, those are the survivors. See how their data points are all clustered way down low compared to group 2? All of a sudden, this simple chart reveals a life-saving insight that was completely invisible when it was just a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet. It's incredible.
And that's the entire point, isn't it? As Analytics Video puts it so well, the goal isn't just to make a pretty chart. It's to tell the story that's hiding inside the data. Visualization turns boring old numbers into a narrative, something we can actually understand and, more importantly, act on. So, how exactly do data scientists uncover these amazing stories? Let's open up the Data Science Toolkit. Okay, at the heart of this toolkit are algorithms, and each one has a very specific job. You've got prediction algorithms that try to forecast future events, like, say, next quarter's sales. Then you have clustering algorithms that find natural groups in your data, like sorting customers into different types. Classification algorithms categorize things, like deciding if an email is spam or not. And finally, some algorithms are just there to help simplify really complex data to make it easier to work with.
Now, creating a great visualization isn't random. It follows a pretty clear process. It's a methodical journey. You always start by figuring out your question. Then, and this is a huge step, you have to clean and organize the data. From there, you pick the right kind of chart, build it with care, and finally, you interpret the story it's telling you. It's a system for turning that raw, messy data into a crystal clear narrative.
All right, so we've explored the data, we've used our tools. What's the payoff? This is the part where data science leaves the computer screen and enters the real world, influencing huge decisions.
And that real-world impact is massive, especially in business. Think about it. Instead of just relying on gut feelings, companies can now make decisions based on cold, hard evidence. This lets them spot totally new market opportunities,
use their resources way more efficiently, personalize customer experiences, and yeah, ultimately get a huge leg up on the competition. In today's world, data isn't just information anymore. It's a superpower.
So we've covered the what and the why. But now, let's bring it back to you. How can you become a part of this story?
So if all this sounds exciting to you, you might be asking yourself, okay, where could I possibly fit in? Let's take a quick look at the main roles that make up a data team.
What's really cool about this is seeing how all these roles work together. So over on the right, you've got the data engineers. Think of them as the architects. They build the digital plumbing, the systems that collect and store all the data in the first place. Then in the middle, you have data analysts. They're the ones who dive into that data, often using tools like SQL, which is basically the language for talking to databases, to find those immediate, actionable insights. And then on the left, you've got the data scientists. They often use more advanced stuff like programming in Python and building predictive models. Each role is absolutely crucial to telling the complete data story.
So, here's the bottom line. We are surrounded by this vast sea of data. But you know what? It's not a flood we should be afraid of. With the right tools and a curious mind, it's a universe of stories just waiting to be discovered. So the only question left is, what story will you tell?